Hi guys, it's Philip Starrett here, and welcome to the fourth episode of my Java Online Clean Code training series. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about Java methods and why you should avoid Boolean arguments, which are also known as flag arguments, inside your methods. So let's have a quick look at this small piece of code I've just put together. So it's very clear here that we have a document service, and we have an implementation of a document service called the CMIS document service. We have a file name, example PDF, and what we're doing is using the builder pattern, which was my chapter 3's video, and what we're going to do is build up a document. So we're going to give it a unique identifier. We're going to set the extension as a PDF using an enum, and then what we're going to do is load up the resource as a stream. So we're going to load up example.pdf from our source main resources. Now you'll see here that what we're doing is calling the document service.checkin PDF, so that's the document, and this Boolean flag is set to true. Now I don't want you to worry about any of this. I want you to focus on this line here and just have a think, why is that bad? Or why is that confusing? So if you're looking at that, you don't know what that method's actually doing. What does that true mean? Does true mean that the PDF's over a certain size? Does true mean that we're going to check it in now or we're going to check it in later? True could mean anything. So first of all, you're going to have to open up the document service interface to actually see what it's called. So now we can see that it's called check-in document, and the Boolean is major version increment. Now, if you know anything about documents or how they're stored, well, typically they're stored through a versioning strategy. So that's a major and a minor version. So you would get version 1.0, and then you get version 1.1, which is a minor change, and another minor change would be 1.2, and then a major change would be up to 2.0. So this allows you to build up multiple versions of a document, say if you're a solicitor or a barrister or anything like that. So it's very clear that it's going to increment that, but how are we supposed to do that? That does not look good on our API. And why is this bad? Because it clearly means that this method is doing more than one thing. And it's not clear to me what the intention is and the purpose from just looking at this line of code. So that's the API. So if we actually open up the CMIS document service and have a look in there, well, as you can see, it's doing two things. First of all, it's going to say, okay, if it's a major version, we're going to execute this logic. And if it's not a major version, it must be a minor version, and we're going to execute this other piece of logic. Well, this can actually be extracted out into two methods, and that's very clear to the reader what the intention is and what the purpose is for that method. So let's go ahead and do this and perform a little bit of refactoring. So what you want to do is say check in, and we're going to say check in major version, and you can pass in the document. And we also want to say void check in minor version, and what we're going to do is pass in the document. We're going to save that, and now in our implementing class, we're going to bring in them two methods. I'm going to delete the Java doc here to keep the methods short for you. And now inside these methods, you can write your major or your minor code. So let's go ahead. I can just copy that in, create a new major version, or create a new minor version. And you can go ahead and actually remove this old check-in functionality. But in this instance, I'm just going to comment it out because I'm going to talk about it later on. And actually I'll delete it because we're going to get compilation errors. And in document service, I'm going to remove that. And now, in my app, I now say, instead of .checkin true or false, I can say .checkin major version, pass in the PDF, and I can also say document service .checkin minor version. So it's very clear now to the reader what's actually going on. And I hope you agree with me that these two methods are much more easier and cleaner to read than the one above. So I'm going to go ahead and execute that and run that. And as you can see, it runs the first time and creates a new major version, runs the second time and creates the new minor version. Now that's great. If you're writing new code, I highly encourage you to do that. Avoid Boolean statements. but sometimes you don't get to work with, you know, new code, and you're working with a lot of legacy classes. So classes that have been around for a very long time, they've been poorly maintained, and they can be a bit of a headache. So if you're in that situation, I'm just going to undo this and bring back this method. Well, sometimes what you might need to do is actually, instead of performing a lot of refactoring, if it's just too complicated, there's too much going on, what you may want to do is actually write some kind of facade or a proxy that'll delegate to this method. So you can say check in minor version, and then basically you could say check in and then pass in the document and then true for major version. So now what you're going to do is create like a proxy to that. So this way you're going to have a clean API that your customer can still use, or that you can still use without having to reference the old API. Or what you could do is, if you have the ability to, you know, you could go out there and refactor and extract the method, extract into a separate method. So if you're still using this, you're just calling into other methods from the original method. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, a very short tutorial, but very important tutorial, and I hope you guys implement it in your code, and I will see you in part 5. Thank you very much.